I came home from the hospital still sore everywhere, legs shaking with every step, the incision burning under my clothes. I'd been in there 11 days, 11 long days, fighting an infection that nearly took me, fighting the fear I might not wake up, and fighting the silence of those white walls where no one came. My son Tyler never showed. My daughter-in-law Brittany didn't call, didn't text. Nothing. When the doctor handed me my discharge papers, I had to ask a nurse to call a cab because no one was there to get me. No one. I walked into my house with a foolish hope for a note, a warm meal, any sign someone had worried. I eased the door open, clutching my little hospital bag. Silence greeted me first. Then the shock. A second refrigerator in the kitchen. Big, shiny, brand new, parked right beside my old fridge that had served us faithfully for years. I just stood there staring. I couldn't make sense of it. Tyler strolled out of the living room with a beer like it was nothing. Brittany followed with a stack of sticky labels and a Sharpie. Neither of them even looked at me. "What is this?" I asked, pointing. Tyler took a long pull and said, "It's our fridge, Mom, for our stuff." "Our fridge?" I repeated, stunned. Brittany crouched and started tagging every shelf, writing her name in big, thick letters, Brit, 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 on every rack, every drawer, every free inch. "Exactly," she said, still not looking up. "This is for our groceries, the ones we pay for. We don't want them getting mixed in with yours." The floor felt like it tilted under me. My stitches tugged with every breath. And here they were, carving out territory in my kitchen. "This is my house," I whispered. Tyler gave a dry laugh. "Yeah, Mom, your house. But we live here too, remember? And with your tiny Social Security, you can't afford what we like." So we decided to be organized. Brittany stood and admired her labels, everyone a little slap. "Don't take it personally, Evelyn. It's practical. You buy yours with your money. We buy ours with ours. No confusion." "Confusion?" My voice cracked. "I have never denied you a thing from my fridge." "We know," Tyler said, crushing the can. "But this is better, more orderly, more fair." Fair. The word rang in my skull like a cracked bell. I looked from my half-empty old fridge to their overflowing new one. Two worlds side by side. The haves and the barely hanging on. The people who matter and the ones treated like dead weight. Brittany opened their fridge and showed me the inside. Expensive cuts of meat, imported cheeses, bottles of wine. "We have standards," she said. "We don't like eating what you eat." No offense. As if no offense could sweeten poison. Tyler patted my shoulder like he was doing me a favor. "Relax, Mom, it's not personal. It's just, well, you're not young anymore. Your check barely covers the basics. We need more. We deserve more. Deserve." That one cut deep. I wanted to say I worked 35 years in a factory and wrecked my back to give him everything. I wanted to remind them I sold my mother's jewelry to pay for his private college. I wanted to ask how they could treat me like this, but I was too tired and too heartsore to fight. "I'm going to lie down," I murmured, dragging my bag to the small room in the back. "Sure, Mom. Get some rest," Tyler said, already turning back to the TV. Brittany shut her fridge with a satisfied thud. The sound carried through the kitchen, the walls, and straight through my chest. The little back room barely fit a twin bed and an old wardrobe. It used to be my sewing room. Now it was exile. Tyler and Brittany moved in a year ago. "Just until we find a place," they'd said. They never did. Instead, they spread. First my master bedroom, then the living room, then every corner that used to be mine. And I let them, out of love, out of fear of being alone, out of the foolish hope it would get better. I sat on the bed and the tears finally came. Hot, bitter, quiet. From the front of the house came their laughter, the TV blaring, the new fridge opening and closing, the clink of wine glasses. They were celebrating. Celebrating what, I didn't know. Maybe celebrating finally putting me in my place. Maybe celebrating not having to pretend respect anymore. Maybe celebrating that the old woman had accepted her fate without a fight. I lay down, every muscle protesting. I shut my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. The pictures ran like a cruel film, the labels on the shelves, Brittany's smug smile, Tyler's cold indifference, the words they'd thrown like stones. Your tiny pension. Don't mix our things with yours. You're not young. We deserve more. Every line was another nail in the coffin of what we'd been. Deep down, I'd known it, but I hadn't wanted to face it. To them, I wasn't a mother anymore. I was a burden, a resource to squeeze dry. Something shifted then. Something broke and reset. A decision formed, slow, steady, unavoidable. I opened my eyes in the dark and felt certainty fill my chest. They'd made a terrible mistake. They thought I was weak, finished, harmless. They were wrong. In the morning, they would see something they'd never forget. In the morning, they would learn who Evelyn Hayes really was. And it would cost them. I didn't sleep. Every time I blinked, I saw those labels. Britt? 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 Like branding irons, like a claim on something that never belonged to them. I stared at the cracked ceiling and listened to their laughter drift down the hall. They watched their show, drank their wine, savored their small victory over the worthless old lady. Because that's what I was to them now. A broke, 68-year-old woman with a lifetime of work behind her. This was my reward. The tears kept coming, but they changed. They weren't grief anymore. They were rage, clean, bright, long overdue. I remembered when Tyler was born 42 years ago. I was 26. His dad, Frank, worked construction. I worked the line. We were in a tiny apartment, but I thought we were happy. Tyler was our miracle after 3 losses. I handled him like glass. I gave him everything, absolutely everything. When Frank died 15 years ago, sudden heart attack on the job, I thought the world was ending. Tyler was 27, grown with his own life, but he promised to take care of me. You'll never want for anything, Mom. I'll always be here. Lies. All of it. The first years after Frank passed were tough, but manageable. Tyler visited, took me to the market, fixed things around the house. Then he met Brittany. She blew in 8 years ago like a storm, beautiful, confident, ambitious. She sold cosmetics but lived like an executive. Designer clothes, perfect nails, salon hair. From day one, I saw the calculation in her eyes, always measuring what I was worth and what she could pull from me. She's a little intense, I told Tyler gently. You're jealous, Mom, he snapped. Brittany is amazing. She's exactly what I need. I swallowed my worry. They married 6 months later. Big, expensive wedding. I paid $10,000 because he was my only boy and I wanted him to have the best. Over time, money I'd scraped for years. We'll pay you back, Mom, once we're settled. I never saw a cent. After that, visits got short, calls got shorter, and the money requests multiplied. Mom, we need $1,000 for the apartment deposit. Mom, the car died. $3,000. Mom, Brittany needs urgent dental work. $5,000. Always urgent. Always necessary. And if I hesitated, the guilt trip started. You don't want your son to have a decent roof? You want us driving an unsafe car? You're okay with Brittany in pain? I paid because he was my son. Because a mother's love is bottomless. Because I was afraid that no would mean losing him for good. When I retired 2 years ago, I thought I could finally rest. 35 years on the line left me with arthritis, chronic back pain, and an $800 Social Security check. Not much, but mine. Frank left me this small, paid-off house in a quiet neighborhood. My refuge. Then the pandemic hit, and everything flipped. Tyler lost his sales job. Brittany lost hers. They showed up with suitcases. Temporary, Mom, just until we're back on our feet. A couple months turned into a year, and in that year, everything rotted. At first, they covered a few bills, brought groceries, helped around here and there. Then they stopped. We're looking, Mom. It's rough out there. We barely have enough for ourselves. Still, Brittany kept buying new outfits. Tyler kept ordering craft beer. They ate at nice places while I had eggs and toast. Then the takeover. First, my bedroom. We need more space, Mom. You can move to the small room. It's cozier. Cozier, what a cruel word for that little box. Then the living room. We'll put our new TV here. Yours is outdated. Mine worked fine. Theirs was massive, loud, and ate the room. After that, they took the kitchen. Brittany reorganized everything. She tossed my old pots. These are hideous, Evelyn. So embarrassing. They were the pots I used to feed Tyler his whole childhood. The set Frank bought me for our first anniversary. I saw them in the trash and swallowed the hurt. The money requests didn't stop. They just got bolder. Mom, I need $2,000 for a course to land a job. Mom, Brittany needs a new phone. Hers died. $1,000. Mom, we have to pay the credit card or we'll get sued. $4,000, urgent. Every time I flinched, the pressure came. After everything I've done for you, any mother would help her son. If you really loved me, you wouldn't hesitate. And Brittany with her smile. One day we'll be the ones taking care of you, Evelyn. Better be generous now. Generous. I was so generous I nearly emptied myself out. My savings vanished. $30,000. Decades of sacrifice. Gone in 2 years. Burned on whims and lies dressed up as needs. 3 months ago, I tried to open the emergency account Frank set up. $8,000, my last reserve. It was empty. What happened to the money? I asked Tyler, shaking. He barely looked up from his phone. I used it to pay some debts. I was going to tell you. How did you access it? That was mine. You gave me the key years ago, Mom. Don't you remember? Maybe I had, out of trust. Maybe he took it. It didn't matter. The money was gone. Debts for what? Stuff. Expenses. Don't worry about it. Like I was a child who didn't understand. That night I cried until I dried up. Cried for Frank, who worked himself into the ground to leave me safe. Cried for the woman who let this happen. Cried for the son I thought I had who clearly didn't exist anymore. And now, after 11 days in a hospital fighting for my life while they never came once, I came back to this. A split fridge with labels and words that spelled out what they really thought of me. Trash. A resource to drain. I sat on the bed and drew a slow breath through the pain. Something inside me had shifted. The Evelyn who always bent, always forgave, always put her boy first, she died in that hospital room. The woman who came home was different, harder, clearer, steady. They wanted a war? Fine, but not tonight. Tonight I would rest, think, plan. I closed my eyes, and sleep finally took me, heavy and dark, with dreams where I stood strong and they were the ones crying. Morning would be different. Morning would be the start. I woke before dawn at 5. The house was perfectly still. Tyler and Brittany were in my room, my marital bed, under the sheets I bought with my first retirement check. I stood, every muscle complaining. The sutures tugged, but pain didn't scare me anymore. I'd learned about worse kinds. I moved through the hallway like a ghost. The new fridge gleamed in the low light. Those cursed labels caught the pale glow from the window. Brit, Brit, Brit. I opened my old fridge, 1 carton of milk, 3 eggs, a hunk of cheap cheese, day-old bread, my food. My $800 check went to medicine, utilities, and the loans Tyler squeezed out of me every month. Then, to confirm what I already knew, I opened their fridge. It was packed. Imported steaks, salmon, shrimp, 3 kinds of French cheese, $50 bottles of wine, exotic fruit, fancy pastries, premium cold cuts. I shut the door and felt a wave of anger and disgust roll through me. Morning had come. And so had my resolve. They feasted like royalty while I scraped by on leftovers. They splurged on luxuries while I pinched pennies to buy bread, and they did it in my house, with my money, under my roof. I poured myself a glass of water and sat at the kitchen table. I needed to think clearly. I needed a plan. I could kick them out. It was my house. Legally, it was in my name. But Tyler had made me sign a paper 6 months ago. It's just to update the will, Mom. Keep everything in order. I signed without reading closely. I trusted him. I had always trusted him. What had I really signed? I didn't know, and that terrified me. I could leave myself, look for a small apartment, leave them the house, and disappear. But with what money? My pension barely covered survival. Rent would leave me on the street. I could confront them, shout everything I felt, but I had tried that before. It always ended the same. They would deny, manipulate, and make me feel guilty for doubting their love. Mom, how can you think that about us? We're taking care of you. Don't you see? You're so ungrateful. No, this time I wouldn't fall into that trap. I heard a noise upstairs. Footsteps. They were waking up. I quickly retreated to the small room and closed the door. I didn't want to see them yet. Not until I knew exactly what to do. I lay down again, pretending to sleep while listening to their morning movements. The shower running. Brittany yelling at Tyler because he used her expensive shampoo. Tyler answering indifferently. Both of them arguing about who would make breakfast. No one mentioned my name. No one asked how I had spent the night. No one knocked on my door to see if I needed anything after 11 days in the hospital. I simply didn't exist to them. Around 9 in the morning, I heard them leave. The front door slammed shut. The car started and drove away. I waited 10 more minutes to make sure they wouldn't come back for something forgotten. Then I left the small room. The house was a mess. Dirty dishes in the sink, clothes strewn on the sofa, food wrappers everywhere. They had eaten smoked salmon and cream cheese for breakfast. The leftovers were on the counter, uncovered, attracting flies. I cleaned mechanically, not because I wanted to, but because it was what I had always done, cleaning up their messes, collecting their waste, erasing their tracks. As I washed the dishes, I saw my neighbor Bev Jenkins watering her plants through the window. Bev was 71, also a widow and lived alone, but she looked happy. Always smiling, always dressed nicely, always at peace. We had known each other for 20 years. But we had never been close, just polite greetings, comments about the weather, nothing deep. But in that moment, seeing her there with her watering can and straw hat, I felt a terrible envy. She had what I had lost. Dignity, autonomy, peace. As if sensing my gaze, Bev turned and saw me at the window. She waved. I waved back weakly. Then she did something unexpected. She put down the watering can and walked toward my house. She knocked on the door. I hesitated. I didn't want anyone to see me like this, destroyed, humiliated. But something compelled me to open it. Evelyn. Hello, Bev said with a warm smile. I saw you got back from the hospital yesterday. How are you doing? How was I doing? Such a simple question and so impossible to answer. I'm getting better, I lied. Bev studied me with those wise eyes that had seen too much life. May I come in for a minute? I don't know why I said yes. Maybe because I desperately needed to talk to someone who wasn't Tyler or Brittany. Maybe because her gaze contained something I had forgotten existed. Genuine compassion. We went into the kitchen. Bev saw the 2 fridges immediately. Her eyes widened in surprise. That's new, she commented, trying to sound neutral. It's for my son and daughter-in-law, for their things, I explained, feeling the shame burn on my cheeks. Bev didn't say anything for a moment. She just observed the labels with Brittany's name. Then she looked directly at me. Evelyn, forgive me for being direct, but I need to tell you something I've wanted to say for months. My heart raced. What is it? Your son and daughter-in-law. I hear them sometimes. The walls aren't that thick. I hear how they speak to you, how they treat you. I lowered my gaze. Humiliation was burning my throat. Last night, Bev continued, her voice soft but firm. When you came home from the hospital, I heard everything. I heard what they said about the fridge, about your pension, about your groceries. Tears started falling before I could stop them. And I heard something else. Bev moved closer and placed her hand over mine. After you went to sleep, I kept listening. What did they say? I whispered, even though part of me didn't want to know. Bev took a deep breath. They were celebrating, toasting with wine, and Brittany told Tyler something that chilled my blood. She said, "It won't be long now. The old lady can't last much longer. When she passes, this house will be all ours. It's worth at least 200 grand. We can sell it and finally live well." The world stopped spinning. Bev squeezed my hand. Tyler laughed and said, "I hope she hurries up. I'm tired of pretending to care." Something inside me broke. Not my heart. That was already shattered. Something deeper, more fundamental. The illusions, the hopes, the idea that somewhere underneath all the cruelty, my son still loved me. There's more, Bev said. I've seen things, strange movements. 2 weeks ago, I saw Tyler leaving the bank with papers. He looked nervous. And Brittany has been receiving large packages, boxes and boxes. She carries them inside when you're not around. What kind of boxes? I don't know, but there are a lot, and they look expensive. My mind started working. What were they hiding? What else had they concealed from me? Evelyn, Bev looked at me seriously. You have to check into this. Find out what they're really doing, because my gut says it's much worse than you think. She was right. I knew it in my bones. I don't know how, I admitted. I don't even know where to start. I'll help you, she said. I have a friend, Arthur Lawson. He's an attorney, retired but still very active. He likes to help with cases like this. Cases of family abuse. Family abuse. I had never thought of it as abuse, but that was exactly what it was. Abuse, exploitation, mistreatment. Would you talk to him? Bev asked. I thought about Tyler, about all the times I had trusted him, about all the times he had failed me. I thought about Brittany, her fake smiles, her fridge labels, her venomous words. I thought about myself, the woman I was, the woman I deserved to be. Yes, I finally said, my voice firmer than it had been in years. Yes, I'll talk to him, Bev smiled. Good, I'll call him right now. He can come this afternoon while they're out. She pulled out her phone and dialed. She spoke in a low voice, explaining the situation. Every word she said made me feel more real, more valid, more seen. She hung up and looked at me with determination. He'll be here at 3. Bring everything you have. Bank statements, documents, anything you've signed. Everything. I nodded. For the first time in years, I felt something akin to hope. Bev stood up to leave, but first she hugged me, a strong, motherly hug. The kind of embrace I hadn't received since Frank died. You're not alone, Evelyn. Not anymore. When she left, I stayed sitting in the kitchen looking at those 2 fridges. But now, I saw them differently. They were no longer symbols of my humiliation. They were evidence. Evidence of cruelty, of abuse, of systematic exploitation. And soon they'd be the proof I needed to take my life back. The hours until 3 o'clock dragged on like years. I moved through the house like a detective in my own home, looking for documents, papers, anything that could serve as evidence. I started with my room, or what used to be my room. The master bedroom now completely belonged to Tyler and Brittany. Entering felt like invading enemy territory. I opened the door slowly. The room smelled of Brittany's expensive perfume. The bed was unmade. Clothes were scattered everywhere and boxes were piled against the wall. The same boxes Bev had mentioned. I approached to examine them. They were from luxury brands. Shoes, purses, designer clothes. Each box represented hundreds, maybe thousands of dollars. Where had they gotten that money? I opened the closet. More new clothes, dresses with the tags still attached, expensive suits. Brittany had at least 20 pairs of high-heeled shoes that cost more than $300 each. Tyler had watches, 4 name-brand pieces lined up in a special case. I recognized one. It was a fake Rolex, probably, but even good replicas run over $1,000. How could they have all this if they were supposedly unemployed? If they supposedly couldn't afford to help with household expenses? I checked the drawers of Tyler's nightstand. Chargers, headphones, crumpled papers, receipts. I took the receipts. Expensive restaurants, bars, online purchases. One was from a casino. $500 blown in a single night 3 weeks ago. I slipped the receipts into my pocket. In Brittany's drawer, I found credit card statements. 3 different cards, all with huge debts. One had a $20,000 balance, another $8,000, the third $5,000. $33,000 in credit card debt. But what chilled my blood was seeing another card, one I didn't recognize. The statement had my name on it, Evelyn Hayes. Credit limit $10,000. Current balance $9,950. I had never applied for that card. My hands trembled as I read the charges. Furniture, electronics, clothing, restaurants, travel, all signed with my name, but none of it used by me. Tyler had opened a credit card in my name without permission and maxed it out. That was fraud. That was a crime. I took the statement and kept searching. I found more papers, contracts, loan documents, all with my signature. When had I signed all this? I tried to remember. Tyler constantly shoved papers in front of me. Sign here, Mom. It's for the insurance. Sign here, Mom. It's to renew the house registration. I need your signature for this bank process. I signed without reading. I trusted him. He was my son, and he had used that trust to rob me, to bury me in debt, to financially ruin me. I found one paper that took my breath away. It was an application for a $50,000 home equity loan against the house. My house, the one Frank left me. Tyler had tried to use the house as collateral. The application was marked pending approval. It hadn't been processed yet, but the intention was clear, cruel. They wanted to take my house, not wait until I died. Take it now. I gathered all the papers I found and took them to the small room. I hid them under the mattress. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would explode. Then I went to the kitchen and looked for my own documents, the ones I kept in a cookie tin on top of the cabinet. Bank statements, pension receipts, medical bills. I pulled out the last 6 months of bank statements and reviewed them carefully. There were transfers I didn't recognize. Large withdrawals. $500 here, $800 there, $1,000 further on. Small amounts that added up to thousands. And there were automatic charges, subscriptions to premium streaming services, exclusive gyms, gourmet food delivery apps. All in my name, all hitting my account. I did the math. In the last 6 months, they had taken nearly $20,000 from my account through transfers, withdrawals, and unauthorized charges. $20,000 I hadn't spent, that I didn't even know was missing because Tyler helped me review the accounts every month. He showed me only what he wanted me to see. The manipulation was perfect, systematic, calculated. At 2:30 in the afternoon, I organized all the documents into a folder. Papers that proved fraud, theft, financial elder abuse, exploitation of a senior, because that was who I was now, a vulnerable older woman being used by her own family. At exactly 3, Bev knocked on the door. She was with a tall man, about 65, with neatly combed gray hair and eyes that held both intelligence and kindness. Evelyn, this is Arthur Lawson. Arthur, this is Evelyn. Arthur extended his hand. His grip was firm but warm. A pleasure, Evelyn. Bev told me about your situation. I want you to know I'm here to help you free of charge. This is personal for me. Personal? I asked, inviting them to sit at the kitchen table. My mother went through something similar years ago, Arthur said, his face darkening. My brother financially exploited her until there was nothing left. When we finally discovered it, it was too late. She died feeling betrayed and ruined. I swore I'd help others like her to honor her memory. His words touched me deeply. I wasn't alone. Other families had lived through this. Other mothers had been betrayed by their children. Show me what you found, Arthur said, pulling out a notepad. I laid all the documents on the table one by one. The bank statements, the fraudulent credit cards, the unauthorized loans, the receipts for excessive expenses, the home equity loan application. Arthur reviewed every page with clinical focus, his expression hardening sheet by sheet. This is serious, Evelyn. Very serious, he finally said. What your son has done fits multiple felonies: identity fraud, theft, financial elder abuse, forgery. Can he go to jail? I asked, feeling a mix of horror and satisfaction. He could if you file criminal charges. But first, let's talk options. Arthur took out a pen and began to write. Option 1, a family confrontation. You show them what you know, demand they stop, and push for a repayment plan. Fast, but rarely effective. Abusers deny, manipulate, and keep going. I knew he was right. Tyler would deny everything. Brittany would cry and make me feel guilty. Option 2, Arthur continued, civil action. You sue for the stolen money, request restraining orders, and force repayment plus damages. It takes time, 6 months, maybe a year, but you can recover. And option 3. Arthur looked straight at me. Criminal action. You file a fraud report. Police investigate. If there's enough evidence, and there is here, Your son and daughter-in-law could face charges, jail time, records, real consequences. Silence filled the kitchen. Bev put her hand over mine. You don't have to decide right now, Arthur said gently. But if you need to act fast, look at this. He pointed to the home equity application. If this gets approved, you could lose your house. We need to block it immediately. How? First, we go to the bank early tomorrow. Cancel every authorization you gave Tyler. Change all passwords. Freeze your credit so he can't open more accounts in your name. Second, alert the bank to the fraud and dispute every unauthorized charge. Third, move the house into a trust to protect your property. It all sounded so complicated, so overwhelming. I know it's a lot, Arthur said, reading my face. I'll guide you every step. You are not alone. And in the meantime, I asked, they keep living here, keep robbing me? That's your call. Legally, you can start eviction as the homeowner, but it takes weeks. Or you can confront them now. Tell them you know and they need to leave. The idea terrified and thrilled me at once. What would you do? Arthur thought a moment. I'd document everything first. Photos of the boxes, the designer clothes, the fridge with labels. Gather every scrap of proof. Then, once your assets are protected, confront them from strength, not weakness. It made sense. Perfect sense. Anything else I should know? Arthur added. Bev mentioned she overheard your daughter-in-law talking about waiting for your death to take the house. I nodded, the pain still fresh. Comments like that can be used in court, especially in elder abuse cases showing intent. It's an aggravating factor. How do we prove she said it? Bev raised her hand timidly. I can testify. I heard everything clearly. Perfect, Arthur said. An independent witness strengthens the case tremendously. We reviewed everything for 2 more hours. Arthur made copies of all the documents. We built a list of immediate actions. We mapped each step. When we finished, I felt different, stronger, clearer. For the first time in years, I felt control returning. Arthur and Bev left around 5. Tyler and Brittany would be home soon. I put the original documents in a bag and gave them to Bev to keep at her place. I couldn't risk them being discovered. At 6 p.m. I heard the car. Voices, laughter, the door. I drew a deep breath and walked out of the small room. It was time to start fighting. Tyler and Brittany came in loaded with shopping bags, designer stores I could never afford. They were laughing about some joke from the car. They saw me standing in the living room and their laughter died, like my presence spoiled their mood. Hey, Mom, Tyler said flatly. Why are you just standing there? We need to talk, I said, keeping my voice steady. Brittany rolled her eyes. We're tired. Long day. A long day of shopping with money they didn't have. Or rather, with money they did have, mine. This is important, I insisted. Tyler sighed theatrically. Fine, what is it? I wanted to scream everything I'd found, to throw papers in their faces, but I remembered Arthur's rule. Document, protect, then confront from strength. I want us to go to the bank together tomorrow, I said, measuring each word. The bank? For what? Tyler dropped the bags on the sofa. I need to check my accounts. There are strange transactions, charges I don't recognize. I saw something flicker in Tyler's eyes. Fear, guilt, gone so fast I almost doubted it. Probably your meds, Mom, or utilities. You know how it is? No, these are different. Large transfers. I want to review them with you. Brittany crossed her arms. Evelyn, don't insult Tyler. He's been helping you with finances because you don't understand that stuff. You don't understand that stuff. Another way of calling me stupid, incapable, useless. That's exactly why I want to go in person, I replied steady. Tyler traded a look with Brittany. Something silent passed between them. I can't go tomorrow, he blurted. I've got a job interview. Where? A tech company, big one. Can't cancel. A lie. I saw it in his eyes and his nervous hands. Then the day after tomorrow, I said. God, what a hassle, Brittany muttered, opening her fridge, the one with her name on the labels. She grabbed a very expensive bottle of wine. If you're worried, check your statements online. Tyler showed you how. He showed me, but never gave me the real passwords. He always logged in from his phone. I prefer in person, I said. Geez, what a pain, Brittany grumbled, returning with 2 glasses and handing one to Tyler. They didn't offer me any. They drank in front of me like they were celebrating. You know what, Mom? Tyler said after a long swallow. You're being ungrateful after everything we've done for you. Everything you've done for me? The words came out sharper than I planned. Yeah, we live here to take care of you. We could be on our own, living our lives, but no, we're here putting up with things, sacrificing. Sacrificing. In my house, eating my food, spending my money. No one asked you to stay, I said softly. The silence that followed was thick, dangerous. Brittany slammed her glass on the table. You know what? I'm sick of your attitude, Evelyn. You came back from the hospital with that martyr look, like we're the villains in your story. I never said, we can see it. The way you look at us, talk to us, like we owe you. I gave you everything, I whispered. Everything? Brittany laughed, cold. You gave Tyler a mediocre childhood in a forgettable neighborhood. You raised him small, limited, poor. We've had to work twice as hard to overcome it. Every word was a knife. Tyler didn't stop her. He just drank, eyes averted. I broke my back to give him the best, I said, feeling tears rise. The best? Please. The best would have been real opportunities, connections, a better life. Instead, you loaded him with guilt and obligation. Michelle? Enough, Tyler muttered, without conviction. It's time she heard the truth. Evelyn, you're a burden. You always have been. Tyler is too nice to say it, but I'm not. Living here is a huge sacrifice. Tolerating you is exhausting, the tears came. I couldn't stop them. If it's such a sacrifice, I said through sobs, you can leave whenever you want. Tyler set down his glass and stepped toward me, face stern. Mom, this is our house as much as yours. Dad would have wanted it this way, a family home. Your father left it to you assuming you'd share it with your family. With us. His tone was final. No room for argument. Brittany gathered the bags. I'm putting these away. Greg, help. I watched them climb the stairs with their luxury purchases. My old bedroom door shut. I stood shaking in the living room. The confrontation went worse than I imagined. They admitted nothing. They twisted everything to make me feel guilty. But something was different. I didn't doubt anymore. I wasn't wondering if I was exaggerating. Brittany's words were crystal clear. I was a burden, a nuisance, to tolerate until I died. I went to the small room and took out my phone. I texted Bev, I need to go to the bank first thing tomorrow. Can Arthur still come with us? The reply came seconds later. Of course. We'll pick you up at 8. I put the phone away and sat on the bed. Upstairs, their voices drifted. Normal now. Probably laughing at me, the foolish old woman finally catching on. But I wasn't foolish anymore. Tomorrow I'd start taking back what was mine. I didn't eat dinner. I wasn't hungry. I went to bed early, listening to their steps upstairs, the TV, the occasional laughter. I closed my eyes and thought of Frank. How hard he worked to protect me. How disappointed he'd be to see his son like this. Forgive me, Frank, I whispered in the dark. I let them wreck what you built. But I'm going to fix it. I promise. And for the first time in months, I slept soundly, because the war had begun, and this time I wouldn't lose. I woke at 6. It was still dark. The house was quiet. Tyler and Brittany slept hard after emptying another bottle of wine. I dressed carefully. I chose my best clothes, the outfit I wore to Frank's funeral and almost never since. I wanted to look dignified, strong, not the sick old woman they imagined. By 7:30, I was ready. I grabbed my purse with the few documents I'd kept. The rest were safe at Bev's. I heard movement upstairs, footsteps to the bathroom. Tyler was waking up. I left the small room and went to the kitchen. I made coffee. I acted normal, as if nothing had happened, as if their words hadn't shattered me. Tyler came down in pajamas, hair a mess. He looked surprised to see me up. Morning, he said, voice rough with sleep and wine. Good morning. Coffee? Yeah, thanks. He sat and checked his phone. I poured. My hands didn't shake. I was calm, surprisingly calm. You going out? He asked, noticing my clothes. I have a doctor's appointment, post-op checkup. A lie, but a necessary one. Ah, want me to drive? No, Bev is taking me. We already set it up. Tyler nodded, interest gone, eyes back on his phone. At exactly 8 hours, a horn sounded outside. Bev had arrived. I'm heading out, I said, picking up my purse. Take care, Mom, Tyler said without looking up. I walked out of the house, feeling every step as a release. The cool morning air filled my lungs. Bev was in her car. Arthur was in the passenger seat. Morning, Evelyn. Bev greeted me with a warm smile. Ready? Arthur asked. Ready, I replied, getting into the back seat. The bank was 20 minutes away. On the way, Arthur went over the plan. First, we'll speak with the manager, explain the fraud, and request copies of all transactions for the last 2 years. Then we'll cancel any authorizations on your accounts, change passwords, and set up security alerts so it can't happen again. It sounded simple when he put it that way, but my stomach was tied in knots. We arrived at the bank just as it was opening. The building was modern with large glass windows. We went inside, and Arthur went straight to the customer service desk. We need the branch manager, please. It's an urgent bank fraud matter. The employee, a young woman with a professional demeanor, looked at us seriously. 1 moment, please. She disappeared behind some doors. 5 minutes later, she returned with a man in his 50s. Gray suit, kind expression. I'm Marcus Johnson, the branch manager. How can I help? Arthur extended his hand. I'm Arthur Lawson, attorney. I represent Ms. Evelyn Hayes in a financial fraud matter. Marcus led us to Apravet office. He closed the door. Please explain the situation. Arthur spoke first, presenting the case clearly and professionally. Then it was my turn. My voice was shaky at first, but I gained strength as I recounted everything. The unauthorized loans, the credit cards opened in my name, the transfers I didn't recognize. Marcus listened carefully, taking notes. His expression grew more serious with every detail. Do you have documents to support this? He asked. I placed the copies of the fraudulent bank statements on the desk. Marcus reviewed them carefully. This is very serious, he finally said. I'll need you to complete a formal fraud report, and we'll immediately review all of your accounts. The next hour was spent at his computer reviewing every transaction. His expression grew darker and darker. Ms. Hayes, he said after a long silence, there are multiple irregularities. Large transfers to accounts you don't recognize, ATM withdrawals far from your usual area, recurring charges for services you say you never contracted. How much? I asked, afraid to know. Marcus did some calculations. In the last 2 years, approximately $42,000 has left your accounts in transactions you did not authorize. $42,000. I felt dizzy. Bev held my arm. And this, Marcus continued, pointing to his screen. This is a home equity loan requested 2 weeks ago for $50,000 using your house as collateral. I never authorized that. I know. And the signature on the application looks suspicious. It appears forged. Marcus showed me the digital document. The signature looked like mine, but there were subtle differences. Tyler has access to my documents. He could have copied it. That constitutes forgery, a serious felony, I said. Marcus looked at Arthur. Will you be proceeding legally? Yes, Arthur replied firmly. We'll be filing criminal charges, Marcus nodded. I'm going to freeze that loan immediately. It will not be processed, and I'll initiate our fraud protocol to recover the stolen funds from your accounts. Another hour was spent filling out forms, signing declarations, changing passwords, and canceling authorizations. Marcus removed Tyler's name from all my accounts. He no longer had access. He could no longer touch my money. The credit cards opened in my name without authorization would be canceled. The debts would be disputed. You are not responsible for paying fraudulent charges, Marcus explained. And the money already taken, the $42,000, will open an investigation. If fraud is confirmed, which seems highly likely, your son and daughter-in-law will have to repay it with interest or face criminal charges. We left the bank 3 hours later. I carried a thick folder with copies of everything: fraud reports, detailed bank statements, clear evidence of every crime. In the car, Bev hugged me. "You did so well, Evelyn." "This is only the beginning," Arthur said. "Now comes the hard part, confronting them." "When?" he asked. "When you're ready, but I suggest soon, before they realize you went to the bank." I looked out the window. The street slipped by. Normal people living normal lives. Families who truly loved each other. "I want to do it today," I said suddenly. "Tonight when they get back from work, or wherever they go to pretend to work." Arthur smiled, not happy but approving. "Then tonight it is. We'll be with you. You won't face this alone." We returned home around noon. Tyler and Brittany were not there. They were out. Bev and Arthur came in with me. They looked at the 2 fridges, the labels with Brittany's name, the luxuries throughout the house, the expensive clothes, the new appliances. "All of this," Arthur said, pointing around, "was bought with stolen money. It's all evidence." He took out his phone and started taking pictures of thief fridges, the designer brand boxes in the master bedroom, the receipts we found. Everything. "We need to document the lifestyle they maintain versus the income they claim," he explained. "This proves they're living on illicit funds." We spent the afternoon preparing for the confrontation. Arthur wrote down key points. Bev made tea and made sure I ate something. By 5, the plan was ready. At 6:08, we heard the car arrive. Bev and Arthur positioned themselves in the living room. I stood in front of the door. Tyler and Brittany walked in laughing. They froze when they saw the visitors. "What's going on here?" Tyler asked, his tone instantly defensive. "Sit down," I said. My voice was firmer than I expected. "We need to talk." "Mom, what is this?" "Who is he?" Brittany pointed at Arthur. "I'm Arthur Lawson, legal counsel for Ms. Hayes." The color drained from Tyler's face. "Counsel? Mom, what did you do?" I took a deep breath. This was the moment. No turning back. "I found out everything, Tyler, everything." The silence that followed was deafening. Tyler and Brittany stood frozen in the entryway, their faces shifting from shock to confusion, and finally to poorly concealed fear. "Found out what?" Brittany asked, trying to sound outraged, but her voice cracked. Arthur stood up. He had that quiet authority only seasoned lawyers carry. "Mr. Tyler Hayes and Ms. Brittany Hayes, you're being accused of financial fraud, theft, document forgery, and elder abuse." Tyler let out a nervous laugh. "What? This is ridiculous." "Mom, what did you tell these people?" "The truth," I said. "I told them the truth you've been hiding." "What truth?" "I haven't hidden anything." Arthur opened his briefcase and pulled out documents, placing them on the coffee table one by one like a prosecutor. Capital One credit card opened in the name of Evelyn Hayes on March 15th of last year. Current balance $14,800, Ms. Hayes, did you authorize this card? "No," I answered firmly. "That was a bank error," Tyler shouted. "I was going to tell you, Mom." "When?" I asked. "When you couldn't pay it anymore?" Arthur continued. "Citibank personal loan, $5,000, requested in the name of Evelyn Hayes 1 year ago. Funds transferred to the account of Tyler Hayes. Did you authorize this loan?" "No." Brittany stepped forward. "Evelyn, you're confused." "You signed those papers. We explained everything to you." "You explained it?" My voice rose. "When you shoved papers in front of me and told me to sign without reading?" "We explained," Brittany insisted. "That's a lie," Bev interjected from her chair. "I've heard them." "I know how they operate." Brittany glared at Bev with pure hatred. "You nosy old bat. This is your fault. You put ideas in her head." "No one put anything in my head," I said. "You showed me who you really are." Arthur held up another document. Home equity loan application against the property at 1222 Magnolia Street. Forged signature. That's a federal crime. Tyler went completely pale. "That loan, it was an investment to grow the money for all of us." "For all of us?" I exploded. "You didn't even visit me in the hospital. You came back and put a separate fridge in because my food wasn't good enough." "That has nothing to do with this," Brittany screamed. It has everything to do with it. It shows exactly how you see me, as garbage, something to exploit until I die. No one said that. Tyler tried to approach, but Arthur stepped between us. Yes, they did, Bev said calmly. I heard them. The night she came home from the hospital, Brittany told Tyler, "It won't be long now. When the old lady passes, this house will be ours. It's worth $200,000. Brittany turned on Bev, furious. That's a lie. I never said that. You did, Bev replied evenly. And Tyler answered, I hope she hurries up. I'm tired of pretending to care. The words landed like bombs. Tyler opened his mouth, but nothing came out. His eyes filled with panic. That was taken out of context, he stammered. What context justifies wishing your mother dead? I asked, tears now falling freely. Mom, I don't want you to die. Of course not. But you want my house, my money, everything I have left. That's different. No, it's not. You robbed me. You lied to me. You exploited me, and you were hoping I'd die so you could take what little I own. Arthur took back control. We have the bank documentation. $42,000 fraudulently withdrawn from Ms. Hayes' accounts over 2 years. Unauthorized transfers, suspicious withdrawals, charges for services she never ordered. I was managing her finances because she asked me to, Tyler yelled desperately. Managing finances doesn't mean stealing, Arthur replied coldly. And it certainly doesn't include opening accounts without permission. Brittany switched tactics, collapsed onto the sofa, face in her hands, sobbing theatrically. I can't believe you're doing this to us, Evelyn, after everything we sacrificed for you. We live in this horrible house to take care of you. We left our lives for you. This horrible house you tried to steal from me, I thought. We weren't trying to steal it. We were securing our future. At my expense, it finished. Tyler raked his hands through his hair, sweating. His eyes shunted for an exit, an excuse, anything. Mom, we can fix this. We'll pay everything back little by little. Just don't do this. Don't bring in lawyers. Don't destroy your own family. Destroy my family? I repeated, incredulous. I'm the one destroying it. Not you who robbed me, lied to me, and treated me like dead weight? We were desperate, Brittany screamed. You think we wanted to live in this old house with a pensioner who barely survives? Then why didn't you leave? No one forced you to stay. Because we'd nowhere to go. Brittany stood, tears gone, only rage left. Do you know what rent costs? Do you know how hard it is to get a job? We had no choice. There's always a choice, I said. The choice is not to rob me, not to exploit me. Arthur stepped in again. You have 2 options. First, return every stolen cent plus interest, leave this house immediately, and sign a legal agreement admitting the fraud and accepting a repayment plan. We won't file criminal charges. And the second? Tyler asked, his voice flat. The second is we file criminal charges, fraud, forgery, elder abuse. You're looking at 5 to 15 years, criminal records, your lives upended. The silence returned, heavy, suffocating. Brittany spoke first. We don't have $42,000, not even close. Then start getting it, Arthur said. Sell everything you bought with stolen money. The clothes, shoes, electronics. All of it. That won't even bring in $10,000, she protested. Then get real jobs, 2 if you have to, and pay every month until the debt is gone. Tyler, Arthur continued, you have until noon tomorrow to choose, option 1 or option 2. Tyler slumped into a chair. He looked destroyed, small, nothing like the son I had raised. Mom, he said, voice breaking. Are you really going to do this? Destroy your own son? You destroyed yourself, Tyler. I'm protecting myself, I said. I'm your son, your only family. A son doesn't steal from his mother. A son doesn't wish her dead. A son doesn't treat her like garbage. We love you. You don't love me. You love my money. You love my house. You never really loved me. Maybe when you were a little boy, but that boy has been gone a long time. Tyler started to cry. Real tears this time, sobs from someone who finally understood he had lost everything. Please, Mom, please don't do this. I looked at my crying son. Part of me, the part that had carried him as a baby, the part that had cared for him when he was sick, the part that had sacrificed everything for him, wanted to give in. It wanted to hug him and say everything would be okay. But another part, the new part, the part that had woken up in that hospital, knew the truth. If I yielded now, everything would continue. The abuse, the exploitation, the cruelty. You have until noon tomorrow to decide, Arthur said. Option 1 or option 2, but you're leaving this house either way. Today? Today? Brittany shrieked. Where are we supposed to go? That is not my problem, I replied, just as it wasn't your problem where I would sleep when you took my room. Arthur pulled out some final papers. This is an immediate eviction notice. You have 2 hours to pack your personal belongings and leave. This is illegal, Brittany screamed. It is not. This is Ms. Hayes' house. You are unauthorized occupants. Legally, I can call the police right now to escort you out. Tyler looked at me with pleading eyes. Mom, please. But I said nothing. I couldn't. If I spoke, I would break. Bev stepped closer and took my hand. Her silent support gave me strength. Time is running, Arthur said, checking his watch. 2 hours. Brittany ran upstairs. Tyler followed her more slowly, looking at me one last time. In his eyes, I saw many things. Rage, fear, pain. But I saw no genuine remorse, and that told me everything I needed to know. The next 2 hours were the longest of my life. I heard their movements upstairs. Drawers opening violently, closets being emptied, Brittany screaming, Tyler responding. A broken voice, the sound of things being thrown in anger. Bev, Arthur, and I stayed in the living room, waiting, watching, making sure they didn't take anything that didn't belong to them. Are you okay? Bev asked, squeezing my hand. I wasn't. I was shattered inside, but I also felt something strange, something I hadn't felt in years. I was reclaiming my dignity. I'll be fine, I replied. After 40 minutes, Brittany came downstairs dragging a suitcase. Her face was red from crying, or from rage, probably both. I need to get things from the kitchen, my utensils, my dishes. The dishes belong to the house, I said firmly. You're not taking anything that was here before you arrived. You bought those dishes with stolen money. They stay. Brittany glared at me with pure hatred. You miserable old woman. You ruined your son's life. You ruined him as a child with your poverty. And now you ruined him as an adult with your selfishness. Every word was designed to hurt me, to make me doubt, to destroy me. But it no longer worked. No, you ruined your own lives with your decisions. I'm just protecting myself. Protecting? Brittany let out a hysterical laugh. From what? From your own family? You'll end up alone, Evelyn. Completely alone. Because that's what you are, a bitter old woman who pushes everyone away. I prefer to be alone than surrounded by thieves. Brittany opened her fridge in a fury, the fridge with her labels. She started taking things out, bottles of wine, expensive cheeses, meats. She shoved everything into bags. This is mine. I bought this with my money. Go ahead, I said. Take it all. Arthur observed every movement, taking notes, photographing what they took. Everything documented. Tyler came downstairs with 3 large suitcases. He looked aged, as if he had lost 10 years in 2 hours. Mom, for the last time, reconsider. We're family. Family doesn't steal. We made mistakes. Yes, I admit it. But we can fix this. Give me a chance. I gave you thousands of chances. You wasted them all. He started carrying the suitcases toward the door. Brittany was still emptying the fridge, determined to take every last piece of food. When she finished, the new fridge was completely empty. Only the labels with her name remained. Britt, 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 reminders of her arrogance. Where will you go? Bev asked gently. We have friends, Brittany replied bitterly. People who actually appreciate us, unlike this woman. Then go to those people who appreciate you, I said. They made 3 more trips: clothes, shoes, electronics, the giant television they had bought. They loaded everything into the car. On the last trip, Tyler stopped at the door. He looked at me one last time. "One day you'll regret this, Mom. When you're alone in this empty house, when there's no one to take care of you. When you realize you needed us. I don't need you. I never did. I just needed you to respect me. And you never did." Brittany walked past him carrying the last bag. "Let's go, Greg. This place smells like poverty and resentment." Tyler followed her. The car was packed with their belongings. They got in. The engine started. I watched them drive away through the window. The car disappeared around the corner. And just like that, after a year-long nightmare, they were gone. My legs gave out. I sat on the sofa, and the tears started to fall. Not tears of sadness. They were liberation, relief, pain, all mixed into a deep sob that came from the core of my being. Bev hugged me. "It's over. They're gone. You did the right thing." Arthur added, "I know it hurts, but you did the right thing." I cried for 10 minutes. I let it all out. Years of pain, humiliation, and silent abuse. When it finally calmed down, I looked around. The house was a mess. Open drawers, scattered things, traces of their presence everywhere. But it was mine again. "What happens now?" I asked. Arthur opened his briefcase. "Now we wait for their decision. By noon tomorrow, we'll know if they choose option 1 or option 2. And if they don't respond, we proceed with criminal charges. We already have everything. The bank will file its own fraud complaint. This is serious, Evelyn. Very serious." I nodded. Part of me, the maternal part that would never completely die, hoped Tyler would choose the right option, admit his guilt, repay what he stole, and at least try to redeem himself. But another part knew the truth. Tyler and Brittany only regretted being caught, not what they did. Bev stayed with me that night. She wouldn't let me be alone. She made dinner. We tidied up the house a bit. We talked about trivial things, her plants, the weather, everything but what had just happened. When I finally went to sleep for the first time in a year, I slept in my own room. They had left the bed unmade. The sheets still smelled like Brittany's perfume, but it was my room, my space. I changed the sheets, opened the windows for fresh air, and cleaned away the traces of their presence. When I lay down in my bed in my room, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Peace. The next morning, I woke up with the sun streaming through the window. Bev was already in the kitchen making breakfast. "Morning. How did you sleep?" "Better than in months," I answered honestly. We had breakfast together: eggs, toast, coffee, simple but delicious. "Do you think they'll respond before noon?" I asked. Bev shrugged. "I don't know, but if they don't, Arthur is ready to proceed." The hours passed slowly. 10 in the morning, 11:30. At 12:12, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. "Hello, Mom." Tyler's voice sounded different, tired, defeated. "What do you want?" "I need to talk to you. I can come to the house, just me. Brittany stayed where we are." I looked at Bev. She nodded. "Come, but Arthur will be present." "Okay." I hung up and called Arthur. He arrived in 15 minutes. At 12:05, Tyler knocked on the door. I opened it. He looked terrible. Deep bags under his eyes, wrinkled clothes, unkempt hair. We went into the living room and sat down. Arthur had his notepad ready. "I accept option 1, Tyler said without preamble. "You will sign the agreement? You'll acknowledge the fraud and commit to repaying everything?" Arthur asked. "Yes, everything, but I need time. I don't have the money right now." "How much do you have?" "None. 0. We spent it all." Arthur did some quick math in his notepad. 42,000 plus 5% annual interest is approximately $47,000. If you pay $500 a month, it will take nearly 8 years. "I don't have a job. I can't commit to 500 right now. Then get a job. 2 jobs if necessary. This is non-negotiable. Tyler ran his hands over his face. Brittany left me. When I told her I'd accept option 1, she called me a coward and took off. I don't know where she is. I felt no pity. I felt nothing. That's between you and her. The agreement is with you. She will face her own legal process. I know. Tyler looked directly at me for the first time. Mom, I'm sorry. I really am sorry. I'm not interested in your apology. I'm interested in you paying back what you stole. I'll pay it all back. I swear. Arthur pulled out documents. Sign here and here and here. Tyler signed without reading. His hand trembled. You will pay $300 per month until you secure stable employment, then $500. The first payment is due in 30 days. If you miss a single payment, we'll file criminal charges immediately. Understood? Understood. We finished the paperwork in silence. When it was done, Tyler remained seated, as if waiting for something. Anything else? I asked. Can we ever fix this? Our relationship? I looked at him, my only son, the baby I carried, the boy I raised, the man who betrayed me. I don't know, Tyler. Honestly, I don't know. He stood up slowly, walked toward the door, and paused. I love you, Mom. I know you don't believe it, but I love you. I didn't answer. I let him leave. When the door closed, I released the breath I had been holding. That's it, Arthur said. He's signed. He's legally obligated. And Brittany, she'll face her own process. The bank will pursue her for the fraudulent cards. She won't escape. Justice is in motion. Slow, but inevitable. 3 months. Passed since that day. 3 months of rebuilding, of healing, of learning to live again. Tyler made the first payment, exactly $300. It arrived via bank transfer without a note, without a message, just the money. He paid the second month and the third. We didn't talk. We didn't see each other. There was only that monthly transfer. That arrived on time. Proof that he was at least trying to remedy what he destroyed. Brittany, on the other hand, disappeared completely. The bank initiated legal action against her. There was a warrant for her arrest for fraud, but no one knew where she was. She probably fled to another city, maybe another state. I didn't care. As long as she didn't come back into my life, she could be anywhere. The house slowly became mine again. Bev helped me redecorate. We painted the walls a warm cream color. We bought new curtains with small floral patterns. We reorganized the furniture. The new fridge, the one with Brittany's labels, I sold it. A neighbor bought it for a good price. With that money, I bought plants for the garden, roses, lavender, sunflowers. My old fridge stood alone in the kitchen, as it should have been all along. And I filled it with food I liked, fresh fruit, vegetables, a piece of pie on Sundays. Bev became more than a neighbor. She became family. The family I chose. We had tea every afternoon. We walked in the park on Saturdays. We watched old movies on Sundays. You know what the best part of all this is? She asked one day as we watered the plants together. You got your smile back. She was right. I had started smiling again, laughing, feeling genuine joy. The money the bank recovered was deposited into my account. Not all of it, but a significant portion. $18,000 returned after the investigation. The rest would come through Tyler's payments over the next few years. With that money, I fixed things in the house that had been broken for years. The leaky roof, the bathroom plumbing, the garage door, practical things that gave me peace of mind. I also set aside some for emergencies. I had learned my lesson. I would never be financially vulnerable again. Arthur still visited occasionally, always professional, but also warm. He helped me organize my legal documents, creating a real, protected will that no one could manipulate. Your house will go to whoever you decide, he explained. And I've put protections in place so no one can change this without your physical presence and a mental capacity evaluation. Thank you, Arthur, for everything. It's an honor to help you, Evelyn. You're stronger than you realize. Perhaps he was right. I had discovered a strength I didn't know I possessed, the strength to set boundaries, to say no, to protect myself. One day, 4 months after everything, I was in the garden pruning the roses when I saw a car park in front of my house. My heart raced. Tyler? Brittany? But no, it was a young woman in her 30s with a small child by the hand. She approached timidly. Ms. Hayes? Yes, that's me. My name is Naomi Bell. Well, this is hard to say. I'm Tyler's new girlfriend. The world paused for a second. He told me everything. What he did. How he hurt you. Naomi lowered her gaze. I wanted you to know he's changing truly. He has 2 jobs now. He's paying his debts. He's going to therapy. I didn't know what to say. I'm not here to ask you to forgive him, Naomi continued. I know that's your decision. I just wanted you to know he's trying to be better for his son. I looked at the child. He must have been about 4, big, curious eyes. Are you my grandma? My heart broke and healed at the same time. Yes, little one. I'm your grandma. Naomi smiled softly. You don't have to decide anything now. I just wanted you to know. They left after a few minutes, but that encounter left me thinking for days. Could I ever forgive Tyler? I didn't know. The damage had been profound. The betrayal still cut deep. But now there was a grandson, an innocent child who wasn't to blame for anything. Bev found me crying that afternoon. I told her everything. What are you going to do? She asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to close that door forever. The other part remembers that Tyler was a good boy once, before everything went wrong. You don't have to decide today or tomorrow. Take your time. And so I did. I took my time. 2 months later, on my 69th birthday, I received a letter. It was from Tyler, handwritten, several pages long. In it, he didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't justify himself. He simply talked about his process, his therapy, his work, his relationship with his son, his regrets. At the end, he wrote, I don't expect you to forgive me, Mom. I don't deserve it. I just want you to know that every day I try to be the man you raised, the one who was lost for so long. I love you. I've always loved you, even if my actions said the opposite. I put the letter in a drawer. I didn't respond. I wasn't ready yet, but I didn't throw it away either. Another month passed. Bev organized a small party at my house. She invited neighbors, friends from her book club. The house filled with laughter, with human warmth, with people who genuinely enjoyed my company. I looked around and realized something. I wasn't alone. Brittany had said I would end up alone, but she was wrong. I was surrounded by people, by real affection, by genuine respect. That night, after everyone had left, I sat in my room in my house, my home. I thought about the whole journey, from that horrible night when I returned from the hospital and found that dividing fridge, from the humiliation and the abuse and the betrayal, to this moment, free, dignified, at peace. I had learned so many difficult lessons, that love cannot come with conditions. That family isn't just blood. That setting limits isn't selfishness. It's survival. That asking for help isn't weakness, it's courage. I had learned that I deserved respect, that my life had value, that my well-being mattered. And most importantly, I had learned that it's never too late to defend yourself, never too late to reclaim your dignity. I took my phone and wrote a short message. Tyler, I received your letter. I'm not ready to see you yet, but I would like to meet Brandon formally when you and I are both ready to talk as adults. No lies, no manipulation, just honesty. Think about it. I sent the message before I could regret it. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet. Maybe it would never be complete forgiveness. But it was a first step. It was something. His reply came minutes later. Thank you, Mom, whenever you're ready. No pressure, I love you. I turned off the phone and looked out the window. The moon shone over my garden. The flowers I had planted swayed in the breeze. Tomorrow would be another day, with its challenges, its joys, its surprises. But I would face it from a different place, from my strength, from my peace. Because I had learned the most important lesson of all. That true family isn't the one that makes you feel small. It's the one that helps you grow. Real love doesn't exploit. It supports. And sometimes the greatest courage is simply saying enough. I went to sleep that night feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Hope. Not hope for a return to the past. That past is gone. But hope to build a future. One where I mattered, where my voice was heard, where my boundaries were respected. And as I drifted off Ismailed, because finally, after all that time, I had come home. Not to a physical house, but to myself. And that was the greatest victory of all.